we are going to talk about bold print today. We can use nonfiction selections to find facts and details about where people live. A nonfiction text often has words in bold print, letters that are heavier and darker than the other letters in the text. Here is our example. It is morning. Birds sing in the branches. You see this part is bolded. This part is important to this nonfiction story because it's letting us know, look at the picture. The most important thing about this page is that it is morning. And in the morning, we see birds who sing in branches. Let's go to this one. It is noon. Kids play in the sun. What word's in bold? Noon is in bold. That is the most important word for us to notice because this picture is an example of what it looks like when it is noon. Kids are playing. Let's read the last one. It is night. A big moon is out. Well, what happens during this time? A big moon is out, and that is nighttime. That word is bolded. So the word that's bolded is in a heavier print, and it clues you into that's something that's really important for you to know about. So today, while we read our story, I live here, we're going to look for any bolded print, and we're going to mark it. So I live here.
I live here. I live in the country. I live in a house. Not many people live near us.
Do you see any bold print? Yeah. So some bold print is right here, country. Let's go to the next page.
I live in the city. I live in a big building. Lots of people live here.
Do you see any print in bold? City and building. Both of those words are in bold. That dark print, bold print. The main idea on this page is the country. The main idea on this page is the city. And then it wants to clue you in that, hey, there's a building back here. You're going to see that in the city.
I live in the country. I play in my yard. Lots of kids play with me.
Take a look here. We have more bold print. What's the word? Country. And they say there's a yard. So in the country, you'll have yards. Let's listen over here.
I live in the city. I play in the playground. Lots of kids play with me.
So in the city, that's in bold print because that is what we're talking about on this page. Playground is also in bold print because that's something that's important to this picture on this page. So far, in the country, you can play in your yard. In the city, you can play on a playground.
I live in the country. My school is far away. I ride the bus.
So we see here, again, country's in bold because that's where this person lives. We see that a bus picks them up in the country. Let's take a look over here.
I live in the city. My school is near my home. My mom walks with me. Where do you live?
What's the word in bold on this page? City. And in the city, we see that they walk to school. We have some questions that we're going to answer now. So it says, reread and use the prompts and take notes in the text. Circle 2 things about living in the country and 2 things about living in the city. Let's start with the country. We're going to circle 2 things. I live in the country. I live in a house. So one thing we can circle is that this person lives in a house. Not many people live near us. That's another important idea. When you live in the country, you don't always have neighbors. So not many people live near us. Now we're supposed to find two things about the city. I live in the city. I live in a big building. Where do you live when you're in the city? A big building. Lots of people live here. What's something different in the city? Lots of people live here. Awesome. Draw a box around the words that repeat. Write them here. Okay, let's find the words that repeat. I live in the country. I live in a house. Not many people live near us. I did hear some words that repeat, did you? I live in. Those are the words that repeat. It's the same here. Say it with me. I live in. The author decided to use the same words. I live in. Let's go to our next page. Here it says, circle two things about living in the country and two things about living in the city. So again, we're going to go ahead and we're going to circle things that deal with the city or deal with the country. I live in the country. I play in my yard. What's something we could circle? You have a yard. Lots of kids play with me. You can play with kids. Let's go to this one. I live in the city. I play in the playground. Lots of kids play with me. What could we circle about city when you play? When you play in the city, you usually play at a playground. Do kids play with you at the playground? Yeah, kids still play with me. Awesome, so we could add those ideas over here. We can see that this is the same. Kids play with me. Kids play with me, even though one is playing in a yard and the other one's playing at a playground. Last question. Why does the author repeat the words I live in on every page? Let's think about that. Why would the author repeat those words? He wants us to notice that, in the country, you have a yard and a house. He wants you to notice that in the city, there are buildings that you live in and that you play at playgrounds. But he wants you to know that even though you live in a house or you live in a building, there are things that are the same. Let's go look at something that's the same on this page. So I live in the country, my school is far away. I live in the city, my school is near my home. Both of these kids still need to go to school. They still both go to school. Let's add that idea in the middle. So this both column here is where we're going to put school. The author just wants us to know that people are able to live in different places. So the author repeats, I live in on every page because he wants us to remember that people can live in different places, but they still have to do some of the same things. Okay, let's read that together. The author repeats, I live in on every page because people can live in different places. Great job practicing.